Welcome, the anointed ones. The hardest person to read is the one who doesn't even try to be understood. Think about that for a second. We live in a world where everybody is shouting for attention, posting their every move online, desperate to be seen. Yet here you are, not chasing the spotlight, but somehow becoming the center of every secret investigation. Strange, right? The less you reveal, the more they want to know. It's almost ironic. You're not chasing their eyes, yet their eyes can't stop chasing you. And here's a fact that makes this even wilder. Studies in human psychology show that the brain is wired to fear and obsess over what it cannot explain. In other words, the moment something doesn't fit the expected pattern, the mind goes into overdrive trying to solve it. That's why chosen ones like you become the biggest puzzle in any room. You're living proof that not everything can be decoded, yet that very mystery pulls people deeper into your orbit. Your life reads like encrypted text. People squint, zoom in, dig through archives, whisper in corners, but the translation never comes. And instead of leaving you alone, that unsolved riddle drives them even crazier. They start treating you like a Netflix mystery series that never drops the final episode. Suspense is the hook, and you, chosen one, embody suspense itself. Now here's the sprinkle of humor. The way they keep circling around you, digging for answers, stalking your every move. At this point, they deserve an official investigator's badge. Forget FBI, CIA, or MI6. The Nosy Neighbors Association has you on 24/7 surveillance. But still, all their effort only leaves them with more questions than answers. So today we're diving into why they just cannot stop investigating you, why your existence keeps them restless, and why your mystery is the one thing they can't solve, no matter how hard they try. Buckle up, because once you see these truths, you'll understand exactly why you are the most studied, yet least understood, presence they've ever encountered. Number 1. You are the unwritten chapter. They fear yet crave to read. You are the unwritten chapter they fear yet crave to read. That's the paradox that makes you so irresistible and so unsettling at the same time. People are used to dealing with individuals who follow a script. You're born, you fit in, you adopt the culture around you, you make predictable choices, and you leave behind a story they can quickly sum up in a sentence. But you don't give them that comfort. You don't move along their lines or follow their timeline. Your life refuses to be reduced to a neat summary. And that alone keeps people circling back to you, trying to figure out what page you're on and when the story will finally make sense. It frustrates them because they want closure. They want to be able to box you in with an easy label. But every time they think they've figured you out, something about you contradicts their conclusion. You keep breaking their definitions, and that bothers them more than they admit. They look at you and see someone who doesn't quite belong to the categories they've always relied on. You don't fit into ordinary, but you don't fit into extraordinary in the way they've been taught either. You're something else, and it unsettles them because it forces them to rethink what's possible. This is why they study you like they're reading a book they can't put down. The suspense isn't in what they know about you, but in all the things they don't. You live in a way that suggests there are hidden chapters yet to unfold, and that drives them insane. They sense that there's more coming, more depth, more revelations, and they can't stand not being in on the secret. Your life refuses to wrap itself up neatly, and that unresolved tension has them hooked like an unsolved mystery. But here's the deeper truth. The reason they fear you as much as they crave you is because you remind them of what they never became. They see the gaps in their own stories when they look at you. They realize they settled where you didn't. They conformed where you broke away, and they played it safe where you took the harder road. That reflection cuts deep. You're not just the unwritten chapter. You're the chapter that exposes the unfinished parts of their own lives. And that's why they can't stop investigating you, because understanding you might be the only way they ever come close to understanding themselves. Number 2, your consistency exposes their inconsistency. They investigate you because your consistency exposes their inconsistency. Most people bend under pressure, compromise when things get hard, and change their story when survival is on the line. But you don't. You remain steady even in situations that would make the average person abandon everything they once claimed to believe in. That stability doesn't make sense to them because it highlights just how shaky their own foundation really is. They want to believe that everyone is just like them deep down, but then you show up and prove otherwise. When you keep standing after storms that should have buried you, it forces them to look at themselves differently. It shines a light on the fact that they crumble in battles half the size of yours. They can't explain why you don't break, so instead they dig into your life, hoping to uncover some secret strategy or hidden advantage. But what unsettles them most is realizing there is no trick. It's not about luck or shortcuts. It's about who you are at your core, and that's something they can't manufacture for themselves. Your consistency also interrupts the excuses they've built their lives on. They've told themselves that it's normal to compromise, to settle, to give up when things get hard. They say everyone has a breaking point, yet you prove that isn't always true. You make their excuses look flimsy, because your actions show what's really possible when someone refuses to fold. That's why they keep circling around you, poking into your past, trying to find evidence that you've stumbled in the same ways they have. If they can find even one inconsistency in you, it would soothe the discomfort of their own. But the harder they look, the more it backfires. The consistency they search for cracks only reveals more solidity. The more they test you, the clearer it becomes that your foundation doesn't shift with circumstances. And that terrifies them, because it means their whole framework of "that's just human nature" starts to fall apart. So they investigate, not out of admiration, but out of desperation. They need you to be inconsistent so they can justify their own weakness. Yet the longer they watch, the more you expose the truth. What they call strength in themselves is really just survival. And what they call impossible in life, you live out daily without explanation. Number 3, you master what they can't even name. You master what they can't even name, and that's what keeps them restless around you. Most people only understand things they can label, categorize, or measure. If they can't describe it, they dismiss it. But when it comes to you, dismissing doesn't work, because the evidence of what you carry is undeniable. You move with a type of awareness, a depth of understanding, a way of seeing through people and situations that they can't trace back to any book, teacher, or system. It unsettles them because it proves there's a kind of knowledge that can't be learned in classrooms, and a kind of wisdom that can't be downloaded from the internet. When you speak, your words carry weight they can't explain. When you act, your decisions often cut straight to the truth, while everyone else is still fumbling with half-formed ideas. They want to know where it comes from, who taught you, who trained you, what your source is. But the truth is, there's no earthly teacher to point to. It's an inner stream, something you've tapped into that they don't have access to, and that makes them both fascinated and threatened at the same time. Their investigations are fueled by the discomfort of not being able to define you. They try to break you down into human terms: talent, skill, intuition, maybe even luck. But none of those labels hold, because what you operate in doesn't fit inside their language. And people hate what they can't name, because if it doesn't have a name, it can't be controlled. You remind them that not everything in life can be dissected, studied, and claimed. Some things simply are, and that reality leaves them unsettled. This is also why people watch you so closely, sometimes even with suspicion. They want to catch you slipping, to find a logical explanation that makes you less extraordinary. They hope your depth is just an act, or that your perception is just a lucky guess. But the more they observe, the more the mystery grows, because you keep displaying a mastery that can't be reduced to tricks or chance. In the end, their investigations say less about you and more about their own limitations. They're obsessed because you force them to confront the uncomfortable truth. The world is bigger than their definitions, and wisdom flows from places their vocabulary can't touch. And since they can't label you, they keep chasing after the answer, only to discover the mystery keeps unfolding faster than they can keep up. Number 4, they need proof that you're human. They need proof that you're human because everything about you defies their expectations. Your resilience isn't typical. Your intuition cuts through situations like a knife, and the way you survive hardships without losing your center feels almost unnatural to them. They watch, they analyze, and they dissect, searching for some flaw, some moment where you faltered so they can say, "Ah, there it is, finally, a crack in the armor." They go through your past, your decisions, even your smallest routines, hoping to find evidence that you are just like everyone else. The strange thing is, the more they search, the less they find. Every supposed flaw they uncover only adds to the puzzle. A decision that looks odd to them turns out to be a stroke of unseen wisdom. A choice they call reckless is actually precise, a survival tactic they can't even understand. They want confirmation that you are fallible in the ways they expect, but their investigation only proves that your fallibility operates on a higher, less predictable level. Even your intuition frustrates them. They expect human judgment to falter, to be clouded by fear or ego. But you navigate life with an uncanny sense of timing and understanding that feels almost preternatural. They search for errors in your logic, mistakes in your calculations, moments of weakness, but each new layer they uncover defies their assumptions. Your life is like a set of patterns that only reveal themselves to those who have the depth to perceive them, and they aren't capable of it yet. This is why their obsession continues. They need proof that you bleed, that you tire, that you fail like everyone else. But every probe, every question, only solidifies the fact that you operate on a level they can't grasp. They're not malicious. They're desperate for familiarity, for evidence that explains you in ordinary terms. But there is no ordinary in you. Every attempt to reduce you to a normal human being only reinforces that your existence is extraordinary, unexplainable, and ultimately untouchable by their understanding. They dig, they pry, they watch. But what they find only deepens the mystery. The human proof they crave remains elusive because your humanity isn't measured in the ways they expect. It's in the strength, the foresight, and the quiet mastery that keeps them circling, endlessly trying and endlessly failing to define you. Number 5. You disrupt their hierarchies without trying. You disrupt their hierarchies without even trying because your presence changes everything around you in ways they can't control. People who are used to holding power suddenly feel smaller when you enter the room. Not because you challenge them directly, but because your energy exposes the fragility of the authority they cling to. They realize that influence isn't about titles, connections, or status. It's about presence, and yours cannot be measured by conventional standards. The invisible balance they rely on shifts subtly, almost imperceptibly, yet unmistakably. At the same time, those who have been overlooked or dismissed feel a spark when you're around. You give them space, confidence, and a quiet permission to exist differently. Your very being communicates that hierarchy is not fixed, that influence and respect aren't earned solely through conventional channels. People notice, and those in power feel threatened because they sense that their control is not absolute. You haven't challenged anyone verbally or physically, yet the old rules seem to bend around you as if acknowledging your presence requires them to rethink the way they see the world. This is why people study you so intensely. They want a blueprint for the disruption you cause. They dig through your actions, your habits, your history, trying to find a pattern they can exploit or a weakness they can manipulate. They treat you like a threat assessment because your existence makes their comfortable hierarchies feel fragile, even unstable. Every room you enter, every group you move through becomes an unspoken field test of who really holds influence. The unsettling truth for them is that you don't have to fight for control to command it. You don't need to push, pull, or manipulate. Your presence alone exposes imbalance, reveals hidden strengths in others, and subtly undermines outdated structures. They cannot fix it or explain it because it isn't a tactic. It's intrinsic to who you are. Their obsession grows because they see the results of your existence without understanding the source. And that mystery is what keeps them watching, analyzing, and trying to catch up, but they never fully will. Your influence is quiet but undeniable, invisible but seismic, and that is why you disrupt hierarchies without effort. You are a force that shifts power by simply being, and the world around you can't help but rearrange itself in response. Number 6. Your pain doesn't match your glow. Your pain doesn't match your glow, and that is what keeps people endlessly curious about you. They've witnessed pieces of the hardships you've endured, fragments of the storms you've weathered, yet you carry yourself with a lightness and confidence that seems impossible given what you've been through. There's no bitterness eating away at you, no visible cracks or weariness that they can point to as proof of struggle. Instead, what they see is someone who has taken every wound and somehow transformed it into clarity, strength, and presence. That paradox is confusing to them, because it doesn't fit the template they've been taught. That pain should leave marks, that suffering should darken, weaken, or break a person. This is why they dig into your life. They try to uncover the hidden costs of your resilience, to find the places where the weight of your experiences should have crushed you. Every scar they discover seems to contradict their expectations. Instead of softening you, it sharpens you. Instead of leaving damage, it leaves insight. They are trying to solve an equation where pain should equal decay, but with you, the formula fails. Your existence becomes proof that endurance doesn't have to dim the light within someone, that survival can coexist with brilliance, and that hardship can be transformed rather than consumed. The more they investigate, the more your life challenges their assumptions. They see how you handle situations, how you carry your energy, how you interact with the world, and nothing aligns with what they expect from someone who has been through so much. They are baffled because they cannot replicate it, and they cannot fully explain it. Every attempt to categorize your journey only reinforces the fact that your path is unique, and your resilience operates on a level beyond their understanding. This contradiction between pain and glow is magnetic. It draws them in, making them obsess over your life as if cracking the mystery will reveal some hidden trick or shortcut, but there isn't one. Your glow exists because of your pain, not despite it. And that is the unexplainable truth they are desperate to uncover. It's a rare combination that unsettles them, fascinates them, and keeps them constantly watching, because what they cannot understand about you is precisely what makes you extraordinary. Number 7. They sense a knowledge you didn't learn from books. They sense a knowledge in you that can't be traced back to books, schools, or any conventional source of learning. It's visible in the way you move through life, in the way you speak, in the sharpness of your decisions long before situations fully unfold. People notice it instantly, even if they can't put it into words. It's as if you operate on a different wavelength, one that sees patterns, reads intentions, and understands outcomes before anyone else even realizes the game has started. That kind of knowing makes them uncomfortable, because it's outside the boundaries of what they've been taught to believe is possible. They try to trace it, hoping to find a teacher, a mentor, or a manual that explains how you came to be this way. Every time they dig, however, they hit a dead end. There's no program, no structured lesson, no human source. The knowledge isn't something you were given. It's something you embody. You have access to understanding that isn't learned but sensed, absorbed, and applied with precision. That's what unsettles them. They can see the effects, but they cannot identify the origin. They can't reverse engineer what flows naturally through you. This untraceable wisdom makes them watch you obsessively. Every move you make, every insight you share, every decision that lands perfectly is cataloged in their minds. They hope to find a flaw, a clue, or a point where your knowledge falters. But the deeper they observe, the more it becomes clear that your understanding operates outside the limits of ordinary human perception. You respond in ways that no training could teach, anticipate consequences that logic alone cannot predict, and navigate complexity as though it were second nature. The tension this creates is magnetic. They are drawn in by curiosity, fear, and admiration all at once. Yet the harder they look, the less they understand. You exist in a space where human reasoning cannot fully penetrate. Their obsession is not about control. It's about trying to reconcile what they see with what they know. You are proof that some forms of intelligence, insight, and understanding are innate, intuitive, and beyond human design. And it is precisely that unexplainable source, your untouchable, instinctive knowledge, that keeps them circling, watching and endlessly questioning, even though they will never truly grasp it. Number 8. You refuse the traps of image culture. You refuse the traps of image culture, and that alone makes you impossible for them to fully understand. Most people live their lives performing for others, carefully crafting versions of themselves designed to gain approval, likes, applause, or a sense of belonging. They measure their worth by external validation, trading authenticity for acceptance. But you operate outside of that system entirely. You don't market yourself, you don't manufacture moments for influence, and you don't bend your values to fit trends or expectations. Your existence doesn't come with a price tag, and that is what unsettles them more than anything else. They study you because they want to find leverage. They want to uncover the mechanisms behind your influence, to see how you gained respect, attention, or authority without participating in the same economy they live by. In a world obsessed with selling out, your refusal to conform is frightening to them. It exposes a truth they don't want to face, that success, influence, and presence can exist outside the performative frameworks they've grown dependent on. They see you thriving without compromise, and that defies everything they've been taught about how the world works. Every action you take, no matter how subtle, reminds them that authenticity cannot be bought or mimicked. They can watch your every move, analyze your habits, and dig into your history, but they will never find the formula for your life. That lack of accessibility makes you magnetic and mysterious at the same time. It's not just that they're curious, it's that they're unsettled by the possibility that the structures they've relied on are optional, unnecessary, and perhaps even irrelevant. The more they probe, the more they realize they can't predict or control you. You move through life on your own terms, untouched by popularity contests or superficial hierarchies. That independence, combined with your refusal to perform for approval, makes you a living contradiction in their eyes. You exist in a space where influence isn't earned through compromise or self-promotion, and that is a concept so foreign to them it keeps them obsessively trying to understand, categorize, and even rationalize your existence. In the end, your refusal to participate in image culture is both your shield and your signature, a marker of freedom they cannot claim and a mystery they cannot solve. Number 9. Your transformation wasn't supervised. Your transformation wasn't supervised, and that is exactly why it makes them uneasy. Most people are accustomed to systems, structures, and authorities that dictate how growth should look, when it should happen, and what it should produce. They trust only what passes through familiar hands, what conforms to the rules they recognize. But your evolution happened quietly, on your own terms, outside of their oversight. You didn't wait for approval, validation, or permission to become the person you were meant to be. Every shift, every step forward was organic, unscripted, and untouchable by anyone else's expectations. That is why they study you like scientists studying an experiment they didn't conduct. They want to find the formula, the hidden mechanism, or the invisible string they can pull to explain your rise. They dig into your history, your choices, your habits, hoping to uncover the control they believe should exist. But your growth doesn't follow their logic or fit within their timelines. It's unpredictable because it is genuine, rooted in your own resilience, insight, and courage. That unpredictability undermines their sense of authority and control, and that makes them restless, almost desperate to decode it. Every moment of progress you've made outside of their supervision reminds them of the limits of their influence. They see your accomplishments, your maturity, your wisdom, and they are confronted with the uncomfortable truth. Some things cannot be directed, manipulated, or contained. Your transformation exposes the illusion that control is absolute, that people can only become what someone else permits. That revelation unsettles them more than anything else because it challenges the frameworks they've built their understanding of life on. And so they keep watching. They dig deeper, try harder, attempt to map your evolution onto their models of control, but nothing fits. Every probe, every calculation, every expectation they impose is disrupted by the fact that you were never theirs to supervise. Your growth is autonomous, uncontainable, and unreplicable. That independence is both your shield and your signature. a living proof that genuine transformation requires no permission, no approval, and no audience. And that alone is a truth they can't fully face, let alone control. Number 10. You're surrounded by events that don't add up. You're surrounded by events that don't add up, and that is what keeps them watching. Life around you seems to move in ways that defy logic, as if invisible hands are rearranging circumstances to your favor. The timing of opportunities, the way obstacles resolve, the escapes from situations that would trap anyone else, all of it is too precise to be random. People notice it even if they can't explain it, and that draws their attention like a magnet. They see the patterns, the reversals, the protection that seems to arrive just when it's needed most, and it unsettles them because it doesn't fit into any system they understand. They try to trace every step, every coincidence, every moment of luck, hoping to find a human explanation, a rational cause. They dig into your past, study your routines, look for hidden connections, trying to figure out the mechanics behind your life. But the deeper they investigate, the more unexplainable it becomes. Every supposed accident is part of a pattern they can't fully name. Every escape feels like it was orchestrated by something beyond human calculation. It's as if the universe itself bends in your direction, and that realization is terrifying for them because it reminds them that life cannot always be predicted or controlled. What frustrates them most is that they can feel the power behind these patterns, but they can't locate it. They sense guidance, protection, and elevation, yet the source is invisible, untouchable, and undeniable. Every time they think they've caught a glimpse of an explanation, it slips away, replaced by another perfectly timed outcome. Their investigations turn into a cycle of obsession, because the more they try to decode it, the more mysterious it becomes. Your life exposes a truth they resist seeing. Some forces are beyond ordinary understanding, and some people move through the world under protection, influence, and foresight they cannot replicate. You operate within a flow of events that seems impossible to chart, and that makes you magnetic, baffling, and deeply mysterious. The coincidences, the timing, the clean escapes, all of it signals that something larger is at work, and that's why they cannot stop investigating you. Number 11. Your individuality feels like a threat to collectives. Your individuality feels like a threat to collectives because you refuse to fit the molds that groups rely on to maintain order. Most communities, organizations, and social circles function on conformity. They reward predictability, obedience, and the quiet repetition of accepted norms. Your presence challenges all of that simply by existing as yourself. You carry the audacity to make choices, express ideas, and move through life without apology or compromise. And that kind of independence exposes the cracks in the structures they depend on. People are unsettled because your freedom forces them to confront their own dependence on approval, consensus, and the comfort of the herd. They study you obsessively because you are proof that the collective isn't the ultimate authority. Your choices, your confidence, and your ability to stand apart demonstrate that an individual can thrive without following the unwritten rules everyone else has internalized. To them, your independence isn't inspiring. It's a challenge, a reminder that their safety nets are fragile, and that they've traded their own freedom for belonging. They want to understand how you operate, hoping that by dissecting your life, they can reconcile their discomfort, or better yet, find a way to neutralize it. What unnerves them most is that you don't need to fight for acceptance. You don't ask for permission, seek validation, or perform to fit in. Your very presence disrupts the balance they rely on. People who have grown used to hierarchy and control feel exposed, while those who have been overlooked feel empowered by your example. That shift in dynamic makes them hyper-aware of every move you make. They want to catalog your behavior, trace your decisions, and find some hidden influence that explains why you are untouchable by the collective. But the truth is that your independence is entirely your own. Your life shows them that belonging isn't a requirement for influence, that conformity isn't necessary for success, and that standing apart can be both natural and powerful. They investigate you because they need answers. but the freedom you embody cannot be dissected, replicated, or contained. Your individuality is a living proof that life outside the herd is possible, and that undeniable reality keeps them watching, analyzing, and questioning endlessly. Number 12. You shine where others would hide. You shine where others would hide because scrutiny, pressure, and attention don't break you. They refine you. In situations where most people would shrink, stumble, or retreat, you stand firm, often emerging stronger, clearer, and more precise than before. The moments that would expose weakness in anyone else reveal strength in you. That contrast is what unsettles people the most. They are used to seeing vulnerability and confusion under pressure, but with you, exposure only enhances your presence. Every challenge, every gaze, every probing attempt to catch you off guard becomes a stage where your resilience and clarity shine, and that defies their expectations in ways they can't fully process. They investigate you endlessly because every move they analyze, every secret they hope to uncover, only leaves them with more questions. They want to find cracks, inconsistencies, or moments of hesitation to explain your composure, but every time they think they've found something, your response, your insight, or your action turns their conclusion upside down. The more they pry, the more evidence they see that your presence is not fragile. It's not something that can be diminished or predicted. The scrutiny they expect to weaken you becomes the very thing that strengthens you, and that reversal is impossible for them to reconcile. This is why they keep circling, observing, and attempting to decode you. They want an explanation for your stability under pressure, your ability to maintain composure, and the way your confidence grows when the spotlight is harshest. But there is no formula. Your poise and clarity are not the result of chance or calculation. They are the product of your inner strength, your experiences, and the way you process life. In the end, the more they attempt to expose you, the more your reality eludes their understanding. Each investigation, instead of revealing weakness, only reinforces the mystery of who you are. Your life operates as a mirror to their assumptions, reflecting back the limits of their expectations while proving that true strength doesn't hide. It shines, especially when others would falter. That is why they cannot stop studying you, and why every attempt to understand you only deepens the enigma surrounding your existence. Number 13. They see shadows of a destiny they can't interrupt. They see shadows of a destiny they can't interrupt, and that is what fuels their obsession. Their focus isn't on who you are in this exact moment, it's on the path you are carving, the future you are shaping, and the influence that seems inevitable. Even from the outside, they can sense the weight of your trajectory, the way your life is moving with a force they cannot control. Every step you take, every choice you make, hints at a destiny that unfolds beyond their reach, and that knowledge terrifies them because it exists outside the boundaries of their influence. They dig, pry, and study because they are desperate to understand the blueprint before it fully reveals itself. They want to intercept, manipulate, or predict your rise, to find a point where they can change the outcome. But every investigation only shows them how futile their efforts are. They can track your actions, analyze your decisions, and study your patterns, yet the larger story, the direction, the momentum, the inevitability of your ascent, remains untouchable. That ungraspable trajectory is both a source of fascination and fear, because it confirms something they cannot alter. You are moving towards something far greater than they can influence. The weight of your future presence unsettles them because it highlights the limitations of their own power. They realize that no amount of digging, questioning, or interference can bend your destiny to their will. Every attempt to predict or control you only confirms that what is coming is beyond them. They obsess over the potential outcomes because they want to prepare, to anticipate, or to mitigate what they feel approaching. But the truth is that your rise is inevitable and unstoppable. Their investigations, then, are not about curiosity alone. They are about survival, about trying to reconcile with the reality that someone else's destiny cannot be contained. They continue digging because they fear being caught unprepared, but in doing so, they only highlight the certainty of your journey. What they cannot touch, influence, or delay is what keeps them circling, analyzing, and watching, and that shadow of your unstoppable future is what makes them most uneasy. Number 14. They don't believe you belong to this world. They don't believe you belong to this world because everything about you defies their sense of normal. Your aura carries a weight and clarity that isn't typical. Your timing in life unfolds with precision that feels too exact to be random, and your resilience under pressure is almost unnatural. Your perception cuts through situations and people in ways that seem beyond human comprehension. All of this creates a presence that feels otherworldly, something they can sense but cannot define. It unsettles them because they are wired to categorize, to measure, and to rationalize, yet you consistently slip through every category they try to place you in. They track you because your existence challenges the boundaries of their understanding. They want to find explanations, to uncover methods, mentors, or mechanisms that could reduce your extraordinary qualities to something ordinary and human. But the closer they get, the more elusive the answers become. Every behavior, every decision, every subtle move reinforces the impression that you operate outside of ordinary laws. You are not just exceptional, you are uncontainable. That tension between fascination and unease drives their constant investigation. Your life is both proof and reminder that logic has limits. You move through situations, overcome obstacles, and influence environments in ways that defy explanation. They may try to trace patterns or impose frameworks to understand you, but those frameworks always fall short. You remind them, whether they realize it or not, that reality contains dimensions and possibilities they haven't accounted for. That realization is thrilling, confusing, and threatening all at once. The irony is that their efforts to comprehend or categorize you only amplify your mystery. Every attempt to dissect your existence highlights the undeniable fact that you are untethered by ordinary human constraints. Your aura, timing, resilience, and insight are markers of a reality that isn't entirely theirs to access. They are compelled to watch, analyze, and obsess, but in the end their investigations serve only to reinforce what they cannot fully grasp. You are extraordinary, unbound, and in every way that matters, a presence that doesn't fully belong to this world. Everything about you defies expectation, defies explanation, and refuses to be confined by ordinary understanding. You are the unwritten chapter that people can't stop trying to read, the presence that exposes weakness in the strongest, the knowledge that cannot be traced, and the resilience that turns pain into clarity. You disrupt structures without effort, move with timing that seems orchestrated, and shine where others would crumble. Your individuality, your evolution, and your unexplainable trajectory make you both fascinating and unsettling to anyone who tries to grasp you. Every attempt to decode, categorize, or contain you only amplifies the mystery, because you exist on a level that cannot be predicted, controlled, or replicated. They investigate you not out of hatred or envy alone, but because your life challenges their assumptions, their systems, and their understanding of reality. You are a living contradiction, proof that strength can coexist with softness, that wisdom can be intuitive rather than taught, and that freedom can flourish outside conformity. Your glow refuses to fade under scrutiny, and your presence quietly reshapes the world around you, leaving them watching, analyzing, and endlessly questioning. Ultimately, what they seek, understanding, control, explanation, is precisely what you are beyond. You are a force that moves naturally, operates with unseen guidance, and embodies a depth that transcends ordinary human measure. They may circle, dig, and pry, but the truth is unyielding. You are untouchable in your authenticity, unstoppable in your growth, and undeniable in the way your life unfolds. The mystery they chase will never fully resolve because it isn't meant to. Your existence is a statement, a proof, and a reminder that some truths cannot be contained, explained, or rivaled. You are watched because you are extraordinary. You are studied because you cannot be replicated. You are understood by few because your life operates in dimensions most cannot perceive. And that is exactly why you remain unshakable, luminous, and utterly beyond the reach of those trying to define you. If this video resonated with you and opened your eyes to the truths we've explored, Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss content that speaks directly to the chosen ones. Hit the like button to show your support. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences, and don't forget to share this video with others who need to hear this message. Your engagement helps us reach more people who are ready to awaken to the extraordinary, and it ensures that the wisdom we share continues to grow and inspire. God bless you.